Hey y'all, it's been a month, and from what I've seen, this month has a ton of Object Show episodes, and two that the community has waited quite some time for them to come out. So, I hope this video won't be too long, and I'll also try my best to review everything without missing out, and not making it feel rushed or anything. Also, I'm going to add another rule, as I forgot last time. I'm not going to review joke object shows, because every joke object show is purposely bad, and I see no point in reviewing something that is purposely bad and not going to improve. So, with no more ramble, let's get into this month's episode, MOSER July. Alright, so I'm gonna start with the good stuff for this episode, as I want to start reviews on a positive note. The visuals were really good, the backgrounds were really appealing, and they did catch my interest. The design of the characters as well. The design is an amazing aspect of this episode. There were some parts I loved about the animation as well. One of them being when Cookie fell, and the movie was so smooth and it was just amazing. I'm gonna be honest, this show has potential, a really big one, but the writing is just boring. The characters have really basic personalities and they make the interactions between one another really boring. I'm not saying that every character is nice, but it feels as if they have labels and they're only stuck to those labels. Let's say a character is mean, then they will only be mean, and it makes everything so much more boring. It feels as if all of the characters are like this, and nothing progresses between them. No character felt genuinely interesting to me. Other than that, I really disliked how Claude just suddenly got bigger, and as much as it was creative, it was just kinda weird, because he was so small a few seconds before. Besides the characters, the challenge felt rushed more than anything. As when Backpack said, there are a lot of obstacles and we only saw one throughout the entire episode. And when the Lances only showed up at the end and we never saw them even climbing or anything. It just made me kinda annoyed. There are also a lot of times where I just cringed, like when Glasses said, "You guys need intelligence on your team, I might be down." Also when Milkshake and Frisbee laughed at Fruit Punch's joke. And also when Hat insulted PB, it wasn't even an insult and she didn't even go over the edge. She just told him he's an idiot, that's all. It was just awful to see these scenes, and I'm sorry if it sounds a bit cruel in a way. The animation wasn't at its best. It was good for the most part, but there are just some parts that were so lazy. Like in one scene, when Pizza's team needed to cross the gap and Glasses built something, it didn't even seem like he was building. It was literally a gray cloud stretching up and down with working sounds, and when they all hopped on the thing he built, only their assets jumped, and it seems like such a lazy move. There was also a part where it looked like Lemonade is slapping her mouth, when it was supposed to be a face palm. Voice acting was nah, I guess. I liked most of them, although I would note that Toxic Mushroom sounds kinda like a robot sometimes, Lemonade kinda sounds like a guy, and Pris's microphone hurts my ears. And if I'm being honest, Cinnamon's voice was the best. So to sum up, I will give writing 1 point, I think I explained why well enough. For animatic, 3.5 points due to its laziness. Voice acting, 3 points. For design, 5 points, as I really enjoyed the aspect of this episode. And aesthetic will get 4 points, because some scenes just felt off, making it a 16.5 out of 25 points. Now on to the next review. I'll just say it from now, I never watched yet another game show before, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed this episode. The writing is really good. I love Marble and Baby's beef that they're having at the start. It was actually funny, and it gave me a bit of context before getting into the episode. The reference to BFN was something I didn't expect, and I loved how it was executed in a way it didn't feel forced. Tape is an actually good host, and I love the voice he has to give off the feeling that he's old. Although, I will be honest, I was confused a little bit at Marble's twist being a vampire. As funny as it may have been in the moment, I was just weirded out a bit. The challenge isn't too original, but it was executed in a really good way, so I didn't really mind it was too original. But if I'm being honest, it felt as if it was all kind of too fast. Maybe it's just me, but I think the challenge should have been focused a bit more. Voice acting was really good. Every voice actor felt real and always had the right tone for each scene. Margaret's voice actor was really good, and I think I enjoyed him the most in the episode, even though he was eliminated. 1950s Globe's voice amazes me, and it really reminds me of Razor in a weird way. As I said before, I love Cassette Tape's voice. It felt really refreshing to hear a quote-unquote old voice in an object show. The animation is really good. It was consistent and there was a lot of creative shots I loved. Like the one where Cassette Tapes comes to Dicey and you see the elimination station from below. as if you're looking from cassette tape's view. Another thing I loved in the animation is Tsu's transformation when he and Daisy needed to pass the gap. I loved that moment because it was so creative. The only thing I didn't like in the design is the design of the idol, but of course it was on purpose, so I'm not gonna really get any points down for that. So to sum up, I give writing 4.5 points because I just believe the challenge should have been focused a bit more, 5 points for the rest. And I'm adding 5 points for creativity as well, making it a total of 29.5 out of 25 points. And now on to the next review. Yo, it's been 3 years, oh my god. I was so excited about this, and I had high hopes for this episode. And I have to say, I wasn't let down. The writing was really good. I love this kind of side plot that there's no internet and due to the budget problems, although I could get why people kind of dislike it as it felt sort of fillery. Although the first scene with Cup and Daisy felt kind of cringy in a way, for me. It was just the ending with Cup explaining the situation to Daisy, also Daisy's laugh made me kind of feel off about that scene. Other than that, I love how the challenge was executed. When they needed to send a photo to the producers with the machine crashes, I didn't see that coming and I love it. The way that they keep football is also something I didn't see coming, and even though I believe I've seen this before, it was executed in a creative way, so it felt like a new way of elimination. I also love the joke about the safety token and how much it pushes the point further of the show having no budget, to the point where Pickaxe needs to make a cardboard cutout with the words on it. The characters are really enjoyable, Dice especially. I love how straightforward he is and just says the truth in people's faces and how he thinks. Finally, a character that doesn't think everyone needs to get along all the time to win. Cherry has a lot of funny moments, and I find him really enjoyable. His voice is amazing and gives me so much emotion. Candy Cane is one of my favorites as well. She's so sassy, it also helps the team whenever needed. At least this episode. And to believe her anger issues could have helped and they at least explore that possibility is really awesome. Although, the only problem I had with the writing is that there was one character that I even forgot existed because they didn't show up almost at all. Latte. Latte only got her first line near the end of the challenge, when they were already on the mountain, as it kinda annoyed me. But that is literally the only thing I dislike about the writing in the episode. The voice acting is more than amazing. Edie's voice is really enjoyable and he really gives off that nervous vibe. As I said before, Cherry's voice is actually really good. He was so convincing in every scene. I also praise TB's voice actor. He's really close to the original and I love it. Also, when he roasted Candy Cane, it was probably one of the funniest moments of the episode. The design is incredible. I have nothing else to say. It has so much detail and it's so enjoyable to look at. The only problem I've had with the animation is that the random faces there were at some scenes, like the one with disc and gamepad, because it just felt kinda off to a serious object show. But holy I adore the part where Puffball goes up with Tack. Everything is so pretty, the colors, the background, the detail. I can ramble on this forever. So, to sum up, I give writing 4 points. Voice acting 5 points, animation 4.5 points, design 5 points, and aesthetic 5 points. And I'm adding bonus 5 for creativity as well, making it a total of 28 out of 25 points. This was definitely worth the wait, and I hope episode 3 won't take as long as this one took. Now on to the next review. With all honesty, I didn't see this episode coming. I just kind of forgot it existed. But this episode was really good. The writing is creative, making Golding get leave for a golf day and leave Santa Hat and Red to lead. It was very interesting and it caught my attention because I wondered what Santa Hat and Red might do for the elimination, the challenge, and how they will treat one another. And boy was that executed amazingly. The dynamics and interactions between these two were very interesting, to say the least. Brett's dumbness making Santa Hat blow up on him was something I expected yet didn't quite actually think would happen. The impact of Santa Hat's words on Brett legit hurt him, and you could see that and you could feel that, and it was so good to see that she actually apologized and they became closer. Other than their friendship developing this episode, the characters were really good. I'm a bit disappointed that Brett got eliminated because he actually tried to win and he was genuinely sorry for messing up. I hope that if a rejoin happens, he will come back because he definitely deserves it. Although I do feel like some characters get way less screen time, like Journal and Malachite. I actually kinda dislike how Team 47 wins every time as of right now. It's getting boring and it's becoming too expected at this point. I also really dislike the glass shot and flashlight drama. They're both acting like drama queens and it really annoys me. The voice acting is really good. and I don't think there were any flaws with any character. Everyone got their own unique voice, and it fits every character perfectly. Flashlight's my favorite because she has so much expression in her voice and I love it. The animatic was amazing as well. Lip syncing is on point and every emotion was conveyed in a perfect way each time. The design was just so astonishing. The background, the icons where they showed the losing team, how the votes were shown. It was all just so colorful and creative. So to sum up, I give writing 4 points and 5 for the rest, making it a 24 out of 25 points. Now onto the next review. So I'll start with positive. The visuals and the assets are really well done. It's very eye-pleasing to look at and it really made the episode a lot better. The intro has improved so much and I love it how it is now. And the animatic of this episode was really good, although there were some parts I disliked. One of them is how in one shot Blue Marshmallow was 2 inches away from her, but then the other shot it looks like she's really far away from her, just for the next shot to show Blue Marsh 2 inches away from her again. I'll get more into that later, but this was a disappointment. I really thought this episode would pull off something interesting, but it felt like the entire episode was just filler. The only thing that was kind of interesting was the rejoin, but that was literally the only thing. The thing with SD card and the fact that he was hypnotized could have had so much potential. There were so many good plot possibilities that could have come out of this hypnotizing situation. For example, the one that hypnotized him, Pinwheel, could have controlled him in the competition or something to make him lose purposely. Or he could have turned him mean or something and make him go on a genocide without anyone knowing, because no one will suspect SD card for this. And honestly, seeing him getting cured right at the end really made me annoyed. It was just a waste of time for nothing to come out of it. The hypnotizer didn't even fight back or try to control Lightning. He just released him even though he could have taken on Lightning pretty easily with his powers. It didn't feel like any progress was made whatsoever. Other than that, Cactus was focused way too much on this episode. I get that he rejoined, but he was in almost every scene possible. Also, the quote-unquote fight that they all had in the rejoin was so rushed. I felt as if it should have focused a bit more since it was the main thing. Besides that, Comp is literally so annoying and boring. His personality is awful. All that he does is disturb Ribbon. No development or anything at all. Also, the post-credit scene was just a waste of time. Nothing came out of it, no clearance or anything. It was just plain out boring. The voice acting was okay-ish. There were a couple of problems, but most were good. I'm aware that mine was bad. The animatic, as I stated before, was pretty good. However, it had very generic perspectives. Almost every scene the contestants were side to side, next to one another. And there were almost no creative perspective angles at all. It made the episode kind of boring visually. Although I love the scene where the hypnotizer releases SD card because it was interesting visually. That was literally, I think, the only one. The design was dope. The background looks appealing and I love it. As I mentioned before, the assets look really good as well. So to sum up, I'm gonna give 1 point for writing, 3.5 points for voice acting, 5 points for animatic, 5 for design, and 4.5 for aesthetic, making it a total of 19 out of 25. 3, for next time, please don't rush the episode. Now, on to the next review. Oh my god, yes! This finally dropped and I was so happy. Mostly because one of my characters was an RC, but that's not an important thing right now. The writing for this episode was pretty good. Barfag and Taco finally interacted. I wanted to see them to talk to one another since their appearance in BFDI 15. Was it 15? Yeah, it was 15. I love how Barfbag's friendship with Spongy is still a thing, and the fact that Saw finally came back. She's one of my favorites, and I love how she was this comedic relief this episode. Ice Cube finally learned to be independent and make her own decisions, and God will help me, I hate Book now. She is just annoying and overreactive, and literally all she does is complain. However, her redemption is starting and I can't wait to see it happening. After so long, I finally got an ad from Yellowface. It brings back so many memories of BFDI and I just love it. Also, Lollipop's hypocrisy when he was excited to see his ad just to sell the other competing product. That is the absolute opposite from Yellowface's. Gosh, I love Lollipop. X just smashing into the ground instead of floating up, he's so off guard and I laughed harder than ever. The challenge was really creative and I love how the info was just spreading around from teams from different sources. Although most of it is Grassy's fault, I love how JB thought of bringing the idea of the spaceship to dig the hole. It was so creative and I watched BFB for this kind of creative aspect. and the cliffhanger just made me so angry. But that is a good way to tease for BFB 14. Honestly, there were only like 2 or 3 things I disliked about this episode's writing. First one being the quote-unquote loser spiritual connection. That conversation was just so boring and it made them both so annoying. I also find Balloony as kind of annoying. It just felt like he does nothing, and whenever he does, he's just annoying. And I think he should be developed more. Other than that, I hate that line Nicole said to Woody at near the end. It just made me flat out cringe. The voice acting as usual, amazing. Every character has its perfect, and there's literally nothing to complain about this section. The animation is incredible, like always. Really, nothing was wrong with it. Design is more than amazing. They always nail it with design, and it shows every single time. So to sum up, I would give writing 4 points, and 5 for everything else, making it a 24 out of 25 points in total. Now onto the last review. Okay, so let's start with the positive. The intro is really creative and I love it. Although I feel it's a bit too long, the design of the show is really creative and with every character having their own set of clothing, and I love it. It has all kind of characters in it and it really makes the show interesting. And the episode focused on everyone in an equal amount, except for Input, but I sorta get why. The plot with Clover actually seems interesting and I can't wait to see what that's all about. The animation is actually really good. It's all really smooth and I didn't find any errors, so good job on that. However, there were some parts that were kind of bland, you can say. One of them being how Ruler was behaving to Pearl. It all felt kind of forced. I get that she's supposed to be mean, but it just felt off with her. Also, Pearl was recovered way too easily from that situation. I expected it to take a bit more to make her feel better after that. Dynamite is also a boring character. I get that he's the silent type, but all we saw him doing this episode was running away. I also kind of disliked that Peach only appeared once and was just a yacht picture. The interaction between them was kind of cringy as well. I also dislike Pen's character. He's lazy and does nothing, yet when Pencil compliments someone, he gets jealous. It's so stupid because he literally does nothing and he expects to get compliments. The interaction between him and Pencil at the start is kind of boring as well. Voice acting in this episode was good. I only had problems with both the gelatins sounding too much alike. The design was okay for most of the parts. Some of the parts just looked kind of weird, like when Strawberry and Turnip were flying and the clouds just looked like they were drawn in 5 seconds. They looked like scribbles. Also in the cave, the wall looked like a military uniform, just with the wrong color. Other than that, the design was great, as I mentioned before. So to sum up, I will give writing 3 points, animation gets 5 points, voice acting gets 4.5 points, design gets 4 points, and aesthetic gets 4.5 points, making it a total of 21 out of 25 points. And those are all the reviews for this month. Remember to tell me in the comments on any object shows I should be on the lookout for, and I'll see you next month.